Hi. Season review, playoff picture, whatever that may be. All right, let's just get into it. Let's just go down the line. Well, got a lot to do, right? Keep in mind that these places do not necessarily reflect seating either. Because, I mean, honestly, hell if I know. Right? They could. But, yeah. So the three people that were playing all end up in the same division. A good friend Tank finished 1-5. Just looking at everything. So like what? You win 3, so that's 7 across 4. Yeah, kind of like an average of like 3-1, right? Almost 3-2, something like that. Probably needs to work on that. And I'm setting the bar at like what I did, but which is like somewhere around like 66%, 65%. But like, I think this is also the first time Tank went into ones too, so like not a bad result. So yeah, I haven't gotten around to it. I have no idea when I'm going to do it. It's I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up late. Um, but yeah, Vicens beat me. So, and it wasn't like good on my end. Like Vicens just trashed me. But we'll cover Vicens, right? So theoretically fishing at the third seed, but what I've learned is that these don't necessarily play. Actually, let's find out. So he's playing Elite Empire KRL. Do these have they finally fixed this? Wow. Okay. So these might actually be accurate. Last season, I've learned that the league standings are not actually accurate. So good on Vicens to get third. So that's where he finished. Like this is probably like the big thing because this is like across 20 games. So like his opponent's like basically under 2.5 goals a game. If I can do that, if I can do the math right. It's actually closer to 2. So that's like some pretty good defense. I'm just curious. Which I managed to like eclipse for the whole series. Except that just awful game 4 I had. So, but yeah, good on Vicens. I think that means we're on the same side of the bracket, though, right? No, we're not. So, um, yeah, because one if everything holds, if seedings hold, one would play 4, two would play 3. So we're actually on the opposite side of the bracket if there's a rematch in our future, which there is not. Like, yeah. So, and as for me, hey, Kif. So I'm like kind of not totally paying attention. Now you have to have like 3 windows open for this. We'll eventually get there. I'm just kind of captain. I'm kind of in the ones at the moment. So yeah, here's this nonsense. I've like secretly talked about like I like my chances in like rock fights. Um, so you like I would love to have the stat lines that the Sims has, but I got into way too many shootouts, so that's what I'm saying. I don't like my chances because this is not good for me in the long run. Um, so I got to figure out like how to get back into form, but so yeah, that kind of covers everything for the ones. We only have one twos team, so we need to go out west for that. So it's Millsy and Midi. God, so when I last broadcasted their match, there were 16 teams in the division. So this is the stats that they finished with in twos. -4 goal differential, -3 in games. So like that's kind of interesting because it's less than a goal for goal differential across match. Even across matches. So yeah, I know Millsy. Well, as of about 30 minutes ago, I know Millsy was on his personal stream playing twos, so I know he plays twos and threes. I don't know what Midi does in terms of two. I've played with Midi before, so it's default is a little weird, but like they can go make some noise. I don't know. Like I don't know who they're playing. They're playing the 5, perhaps. I hate trying to do playoff math. Are they playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh, so they're playing just calculated. I think. Tournament math is always bad, but it's never been my strong suit. So I think they're playing just calculated, and did they lose to them in 5? Yeah. So yeah, they get to run it back. It looks like the scheduling isn't done. So assuming I could do that, hey, here's a rematch. They also just calculate 5, and Minnie and Millsy get to run it back. Okay, so how... Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, like, how to deal with the 3s. I think I'm just going to go in tier and division order. But we need to take care of the nonsense first. Yay! There's not much to talk about here. Because it's Rumble. I mean, we could still show the stats and whatever, but like, it's Rumble. These numbers are awful for me, but they're about in line. But yeah, like, oh yeah, and we had like 1 forfeit win along the way, so yay. And I think we got beat by the team that finished first. Like, we got swept, but I believe they were Rumble mains. You know, it's like also whatever. Yeah, that's a Rumble team. So I guess we'll start with tier 1 and just work our way down. Yeah, if you haven't already, start thinking about the winner circuit. Okay, so standings. Okay. Oh wow, they managed to avoid each other. Well, I guess is kind of how we've established. We look at the lower seats. So this is Zach's team. They finished 3-3. So kind of like a nice, solid, balanced team. This is the only thing I don't know how to interpret it, just because, like, it's a lot faster. Like, shooting percentage kind of goes down just because, like, you know, it's faster. People can cover more things, so it's a lot harder to put in the back of the net. But, like, even looking at things like their positive goal differential, positive in, you know, games. So, like, you know, I think that's a pretty big, pretty good result for an open division. And I'm like never surprised by like whatever Zach puts up. Oh yeah. Oh. Bots. Okay. That's good. That's good to know. That they won't go away if you make affiliate. So yeah. So I guess, we can just do a quick, mini playoff preview since it looks like some of these are set. So I'll be playing Spooky B Team, to Hooligans. That's a weird goal differential though for a 5-1 team. So everybody's favorite, Dill's team. So, like Nerve and Squiddy just kind of crushing it. Like, I think it was intended for Nerve, Squiddy, and Chirp to start. And I think Snake was the fifth person, so like got some games in as well. Again, like all decent results. Like, I mean, really, when you have like Nerve and Squiddy, like all these numbers for the rest of the team is like it'll be slightly deflated, but like that falls in the realm of like good problem to have because you got two good scorers. I mean, even then, like Dill's at almost at 0.9, Chirp's about almost at 3/4 of a goal per game. So, like, again, like good numbers, good result. Let's let's see how they'll get through, and they'll be taking on the 11. Man, this is just sometimes a pain in the butt when it loads. Lions Den. So, like, yeah, they have a pretty good goal differential for 3-3 teams. So, it's probably going to be a tough fight. Okay, so then we drop down to D2. So I'm just going to say that I'm not going to be surprised at seeing this team down here. Not because they're bad or anything, but like they just basically decided the heck with it. Everybody here kind of made a push to go over 1600. And at last check before the transition from season 14 to free to play season 1, they were all well above 1600. But as always, the as I've been saying throughout, what we see here may not necessarily reflect skill levels, or like where they are at, like because there's like at least a week missing or problems with the transition, stuff like that. So like I don't envy whoever had to do these. So it looks like the IGL staff that were doing rank verifications kind of erred on the side of caution, which is good. So a lot of people got placed lower. But for teams that were kind of formed based on the assumptions, it was sort of like a crapshoot. But they decide, well, we're gonna get back up here anyway, so let's just go for it. So they finished with 0-6, but like the complete premise is like this was their first season up in tier 1. And all that. So yeah, like, and they had all made like a conceited effort to go for it. So like, it sucks finishing 0-6, but like they didn't back down. Just said the hell with it. Let's just go. Let's just go for it. So yeah, like again, it's rough, but I don't know. I think for them, I think I applaud their decision to go for it. Stop it, stupid computer. Okay, so we're in tier 2. Oh, I forgot a team. I went through the twos. We'll jump back. We'll jump back to this. Where's East? There it is. I forgot Spree. God, this division is stacked. Like, I am, in a way, I'm like not surprised, but still surprised. By the way, this is their first season up in tier 3, and I think like a lot of this just like, again, just says a lot what chemistry can do. And I know every time we go into this, it's like this. Basically, like this is, in like whatever bubble I exist. This is the poster child for chemistry, like because this team went 10-0 last season in tier 4. But now they're in tier 3 and they're going 6-0, and like there's like they had their moments like last season where they like semi struggled but righted it in mid series. Again, like same like you know I would I don't even know about here, just because when you win three to half a an average of three to half a game, like so, but like Vicen says plays with Mystic and Dews, and like this all shows. And like last season, Mystic was on top, but it's you know to speak of Vicen's, like um, I was not dreading the ones matchup, but I knew it was going to be a tough fight. But I didn't do myself any favors. Like Vicen's is Vicen's has done more than well in like first season up and everything. He took a sub for the threes team. But like again, like this team is just firing on all cylinders. They're gonna have a tough bracket though. But again, as always, I'm excited to see what they do. So good on them for another 6-0 season and first season up. And the reason why I missed them is like because the EQ team is out west, and just like, oh yeah, we for some reason that lodge just like, oh, we only have one twos team. Stupid brain. All right. So I know what this is. This is not playing 2 series. So like, that's, you can't score goals if you don't play any series. And that's probably a little worrisome. I think we lost to High Dragons. Who'd we lose to? So this is my team, right? Yeah, we lost to High Dragons. And we have a rematch against Wireless Seatbelts. So this probably needs to be higher for like all 3 of us, but hey, welcome to Clangers. Like Jordan has a great shooting percentage. Yeah. This is just it's a weird team. But yeah, when you have 2 forfeit wins on your record, like this looks great, but you unpack it and like this should be higher and this should be higher. So it's like I don't know. What this basically means is probably a first round exit. Maybe. I mean, we're playing a team we beat 3-0, but like all bets are off in the playoffs. Like, you know, this doesn't mean anything. It's also a month ago. Like, we can look at it. You know, so it's like 3-1, 5-2, 5-2. But like again, like it just none of this really matters because, you know, so much time is going to pass. So next up, the EQ team. In Division 5. So they got a 4 seed. Yep. Again, these numbers are low because when you have 2 forfeit wins on your record, so they got swept in their only loss because, you know, 5 times 3 is 15. So that'll put them at 15-2. So they got 5, you know, kind of stayed with 3. I know one of them is, you know, like the 5th emergency sub, so that's fine. Millsy's I guess the main sub, and Zoom is the you know, the 5th person. But I know the team's active, but you know, they just started, so now this is surprising, you know, semi well balanced team. Gravity's got some Clanger-esque shooting percentages. I think these all come out to be like they're all within 1 goal of each other. You know, assists are fine, saves are fine. So like again, like, you know, you look at it on paper, well balanced team. So looking to see what happens there in the playoffs. Yeah. Again, though, this screams first round exit as well, because when you play 4 games, like you kind of end up on the short end of the stick. But I don't know. Well, between clangers and equilibrium, it's, we have these pumped up records, because of the forfeits. So it's like it's hard to put stock into them. You know. So we'll have to see what happens. Um, yeah, not sure what's in future, but they'll probably go further. Like, they have the chance to go further than my team. Like, the potential's there, and this doesn't necessarily speak bad of my team. My team is just really really weird, but like, it's supposed to be because I constructed it. It's a semi leftover team. Well, look who got thrown a lifeline. I actually think this is in part helped out by this. So this just looks weird. Like, they're -1 in game differential, but like +8 in goals. So this is how everything played out. They take a lot of shots, but I'm I guess without being too harsh, it's like witness, is just below 30%. So, and there's also kind of like a lot of what could be like, setup shots, where you miss intentionally because you're just trying to pass and it just so happens it goes on net. Um, but like, as a team, this is very Clanger esque. Like, and like, I should know because I'd have to drag it up, but like, J Dub and Rel were on Clangers last season, and this is a team that thought they were being tier one, as well. So like, they, I guess in a way, technically got a favorable placement. But I was very upset with just kind of how poorly they played, in their last week. Their opponent just kind of wanted it more, and aside from anything, I think this might actually be the problem on the team. If all information given to me is otherwise correct, is like, just looking at stats, this is the problem, and it's like, this probably can't continue. It's in a way, it's just like, you can only accept so much, missing, because like, yeah, because like, witness is, I know Fallen's a sub, so like, when you're averaging like 10 shots a game, you know like, that's, yeah, that just can't go on. So yeah, they're gonna have to get more accurate, um, or these numbers need to come up. I'd have to do whatever quick math. Like, it's not necessarily bad for, let's see, what is this, 0.5? It's like 1 point. So if we just look at the three, primary people, so that's like what, 63. So that's 132, 1.32, and we basically got 10, 60, 2.5. Yeah, so it's like 2-to-1 assist ratio, so it's like not even, it feels like not even like missed shots. So they're kind of gonna have to do something about it in the future. I don't know what it is, but they're gonna have to get slightly better shooting. Or again, if these numbers come up, that means that okay, there's a lot more, strategic misses or just, follow ups, clean ups, second chances, that sort of thing. But they did get Lifeline. So let's see what they can do. They definitely have an uphill battle. You know, because of the 5, 3-0 teams. Or 6-0 teams. Yeah, see, this is like how under 500 teams can get in, is like this. It just stops at 25 and doesn't go up to 30 or whatever. Like that makes a huge difference. So teams just getting out. So, there's a couple 2-4 teams that made it in. That's a team that didn't get something taken off their record. So yeah, anyways, so again, spoken at length about this team. This is a team new to competition, so newly formed. Like Bucks is the only one with competitive experience, and like again, like Salad and Lau, I think made the push at the end. Kind of assumed that they were tier 3, so like got a favorable one, but they were on a tier 3 team. And just like, I mean, these aren't like necessarily bad either. So like, just kind of had, struggles throughout the season. I would, probably just have to say is like look for each other a little bit more, and that sort of thing. And I don't know if they're staying together, if like gonna reform or like do something, but whatever. But I mean, like, it sucks being on 06, but like, again, also in a way, it's like not necessarily formed at the last minute, but also like it was like a throw together team because we'll get to the Scorpions, but the Scorpions kind of already existed. So like it's hard to just like say like and speak like too negativity, because again, like you got people that were just up in Champ 1, Champ 2 for the first time. Like none of these people have played comp. Like it's I hate the term sweaty, but it is more sweaty than ranked. So it's just like a lot of things. But I can even say like Lau is put up better stat lines than some of the lines I put out with. So like, there's stuff to build on. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. So when we saw the Scorpions, Scorpions would have got in anyways if they had gotten swept. But they got an 11 seed. Well, I'm talking about their match against the Mongoose. Or probably their prior match. Which they won 3-1. So, hey, here's Vicens. Vicens, I know, should be the sub. Yeah. So, they just rolled with everyone. So, like, +3, +7, like, good positive differential, even for going 3-3 in this league. This is a case of where theoretically numbers don't tell the whole truth. But I've discussed the numbers at length with actually the Scorpions. I wouldn't even say like Tate has put up like Andrewish numbers. Like, there's really like I had to explain to Tate like 50 points, or even in this case like 58 points. It's just like 3 clears, so it's like fine. And again, like, when you're shooting 46%, even if you don't take a lot of shots, you're making everything count. Like, Fox is the worst shooting person on this team. He's shooting 32%. Like, that's not awful. It's above 30. So, like, they've got a decent chance. Like, I like how they performed. And I like casting a game where they lost in 5 as well. So it's like, again, it's like not bad for first session in Champ 1, Champ 2. So got a slight uphill battle, but they can do it. This is a team right now that has been playing session. Well, I guess this is the second, so it's like this is also a case of like where chemistry is going to trump skill, or make, not necessarily trump skill, is make up points in the in the skill gap, because they're that again. Look at Spree, look at here. So, yeah, and that's gonna go ahead and do it because we've reached the end. Like, I guess if I have to make like any guessing, like, I guess the Rumble team can make a playoff run because it's Rumble, but can also get knocked out. Like, I know Spree and Vicens are going to do well in the playoffs because history says. Like, for United and Zach's team, like, it's tier 1, so anything can happen. And like I wouldn't be surprised if the Scorpions make a playoff run. Like, I would be surprised if if they get into the semis. And even if they end up in the 3rd place match, I would not be surprised at that. All the tier 2 teams are just completely suspect. Like, in a vacuum, theoretically, Loyalty should be in the best shape, but they backed into the playoffs. Clangers and EQ are sitting in basically the same spot as that. They've only played 4 games, which I'm going to say, hey, shockingly happened last season too. But hey, Veterans Division, right? I know IGL can't do anything about that, but like I'm still like a little salty about that because it's like, you know, like come on, people, it's not that hard. Um, so yeah, once again we have two teams that played only 4 games because forfeits. Um, yeah, and I don't know, and I just don't know what to make of the EQ team, the West Twos team. So like, like they played that team close in week 6, so it could be another good one. So it could be a 55-45 matchup in favor of just calculated. So like Millsy and Mitty know what they have to do. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, and yeah, I just left myself because it's like I don't know. Like I'm like in ones I'm not even sure like which Andrew's going to show up. So there we are. So yeah, that's going to conclude the end of season review. I'll do a playoff report as soon as the last team's eliminated. Um, Again, like based on my, well, I say eliminated, or I should say last team finishes. Because again, I think like Spree and Vicens are set up for, they'll probably be billing in that last week. Um, but again, these things are done on paper, and we have to play it out. But yeah, that will go ahead and do it for this one. Thank you all for watching, and as we get games scheduled, hopefully they'll be on stream, whether it's actually here or on you know the various communicasters or even IGL main. But yeah, so thank you all for watching, and have a good one.